Hi there, it's time to use the Wyckoff lens to look into Solana as to where it is and where it's heading. So if you're new to my sessions, here are the 3 key points I'll cover during the session. So let's start off with the weekly chart of Solana. Previously, we talked about a potential sign of weakness showing up. The question is where it's going to land, okay, where the rebound is going to happen. As of now, remember, we're still early, okay? This week's candle has just started. There's still over 6 days left for this candle to develop. While it seems like there may potentially be another LPSY, meaning like a small rebound during this downtrend, when that confirms, we can confirm that the sign of weakness once again happened at this yellow key level of 125. That's where the previous 4 sign of weakness is, or even you can say 5 because the wicks gone to that level during this distribution cycle has landed upon. So the first one was April 2004, and then July, and then September. And fast forward to this year, the 4th one, March, the 5th one, June. Okay, 5 sign of weaknesses before this, the 6th one, potentially, okay? Remember I said, this can change. If it turns to a red candle and pokes right through or falls right through 125, the sign of weakness may end up at around 100 or may not even happen if it's consecutive red candles that leads all the way into the accumulation cycle. Okay? So the downtrend is still going on. The view hasn't changed. That's a higher chance for a bounce high enough to come back to another test. That needs quite some very positive news. Okay? From 125 back to testing 210 or even higher, 260, the purple key level. Those require a big change in trend and sentiments across the board. So let's expect we will likely see a sign of weakness given what's happening right now. However, the volume is still a key factor. Right? If volume supports, it may show up as an LPSY. So look at what happened over here. But it won't be too high. So compared to what we have during those volume pushing the price to the peaks or the upthrust or the buying climax, okay, this time you clearly see these candlesticks, even though they are long and wide, their volume wasn't very strong. So that's why that climb doesn't last for too long. And all these, days of price surge, you see the volume is actually getting a little bit lower and lower and lower. So this week, if it's also a short volume bar, be prepared that something similar to what happened during March, April this year will reappear. So there was a little white candle over there. It tried to challenge the 150 green key level. You see that long wick over there. And then immediately it came down. Alright? So there was some good news supporting the subsequent climb, but after a couple of months of run, the steam dies down. So when we get to the daily chart, we will be able to see a little bit more. I've talked about the downside potential, the upside potential, the stage we are at, and the next stage we are expecting to see. So it's time to get to the daily. The downtrend is still going on. That started from September. And here, the price is still trading at the weaker side or weaker half of the air hockey table or the channel box. Okay, if you're wondering what means by air hockey table, look at how the price move. Basically, it's like a puck bouncing between the two edges, the ceiling and the bottom of the box. And also, don't forget about the center line, which is an addition. Okay, this is an advanced air hockey, okay? Sometimes it just doesn't have sufficient people buying, and it stops right at the center line and got rejected. So, over the past few days, Solana has been trading at a very narrow range. So look at 5 days ago, Thursday, November 20th. It got rejected from above the this yellow dash line at around $137. It was trying to challenge the 150 green key level, a resistant level that was formed by a couple of key stages in the previous cycles. Currently, this yellow dash line that's rejecting the price to go up since last Thursday is formed by this previous period of sign of weakness back in June, and also look at this automatic rally during March. Okay, all within this year. It's not like a year or 2 or 3 years ago. It's all in this year. Okay, so if this is still another sign of weakness, then it continues to go challenge the lower key levels, assuming the downtrend continues. Okay, I'm trying to show you some potential breakout points or timing. So it has to continue to trade sideways or go up if it has sufficient buying forces. Today's candlestick with the volume looks pretty healthy, although it's not too far from what happened last Tuesday. So here, if it continues to trade sideways, eventually it will move to the upper half of the air hockey table. Then, looking at these intermediate and key levels, we'll be able to gauge by the end of this year or beginning the first week of next year, and near the end of January, if it continues to go south and challenge the orange key level. Those are the dates that are the key decision points or trend changing or trend confirming signals. Okay? Of course, if it continues to trade at the lower half, there's no need to confirm. However, if it starts to move towards the right hand side, the upper half of the downward channel, the price has to either break out or continue, meaning get rejected from the ceiling of the channel, and do its air hockey bounce again. Alright, that's where the decision point comes in. So if it has been trading flat for a while, edging towards that triangle, the likelihood of it breaking outside of the downtrend is going to get higher. Of course, it's not always 100%, because we will never know what kind of crazy news would come out all of a sudden, okay? October 10th is just one of the many examples. So, while we are expecting it's going to get into an accumulation cycle, whether it's the preliminary support stage or maybe even a selling climax, the reason I'm not putting it out now is that it's not that I'm not expecting it to happen. It's because when we look at the weekly time frame, the bigger picture, it kind of tells us it's not over yet. Unless you're saying weekly is also starting to accumulate, then I'll treat this differently. Okay, but weekly is still showing it's in the middle of a drop to the accumulation. So this is likely not the selling climax as of this moment. Alright, it may be a selling climax in the daily, in the sense that if here really is going to show us an LPSY, last point of supply, alright, then in the daily it will look like it comes up, so that goes to 150, right? So not as high as this one right here. So it looks like it's distributing a bit and then come back down to another selling climax. You can do it that way, just like here. You can say that's a selling climax for the daily, and then there was another buying climax and subsequently automatic reaction, sign of weakness, LPSY, and then come down to another leg like the PS, and eventually there's a selling climax. Then you can do it that way because, like I said, in the daily chart is more experimental and it should look more frequent. The cycles should look more frequent compared to the weekly. So that's the case. So when that LPSY happened in the weekly, we can do that and name that line climax, second test, and then boom, it goes to another deeper accumulation. Alright? I know it sounds weird. That's why if you are not comfortable with the daily Wyckoff, just focus on the weekly. I'm doing both. Weekly is the one that I would say more original. Daily is more experimental. Okay, so Solana, after this rebound, hopefully if it happens in the next 6 days confirming this white candle, be mindful that it may come back to the 100 level or maybe even lower, because look to the left, there's not much left as very strong support. There's one point sign of weakness during March, the PSY period back in January 2024, and during this decline that a couple of candlesticks stopped over there. So it may take a breath at 100 if it comes down, but it may go even further after that. Alright, that's for Solana today.